Hello, everyone. It is now 7 o'clock, and with that, we will do a recall to, we will start with the recall to an order of a regular session. Shauna, can we please start with a roll call, please?
Amanda Harness.
Here.
Fred Davis.
Here.
Steve Byers.
Here.
Ario Owens. Chris Boyce.
Here.
Casey Ramirez.
Present.
Mente Bynum.
Here.
Jenna Zimmerman. Here.
All right. Next item is public participation and recognition. Public comment. Members of the public who wish to speak to the board shall complete a request card prior to the start of the meeting. This section of the meeting will be reserved for comments from the public. All comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Criticism of individuals is not in order. And we do have 2 comments. One is from Aaron, and it is subject new business. I have a hard time understanding the handwriting, but I think it says letter G. And agenda F, employment contract, Principal Tyler Elementary School.
Just checking, it's good. My name is Erin Grick, and I am a citizen and a parent in D428. I'm here about 2 action items. First is new business administration, letter G, staff request for the associate superintendent. With a large increase of 40-plus teachers and staff for the new school, given our student numbers have increased, an already sizable increase in the 2025 approved budget, the desire to increase taxes to meet the district's financial needs and wants, I believe it would be irresponsible of the board to spend an additional $223,748 on one person. If students are what we are here for, the same money could easily hire 3 to 4 additional teachers, creating smaller student-teacher ratio and more individual attention. Second is the action item F, employment contract, elementary principal, Tyler Elementary School. Mrs. Coleman, our family knows her from Jefferson, is a kind, loving woman who always has a smile, a listening ear, and honest feedback and insight. At Jefferson, she was always visible and present with the kids and available for families. She helped our family navigate the 504 and the IEP process. Her family is a role model to our community and schools, building each other up and supporting each other and letting their love shine. Though Jefferson will miss her, I am grateful that we can promote and reward this amazing, hardworking person. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next person is Mr. Mark Shervat, subject various.
Erin kind of stole my thunder on the first item, so I concur with everything she said in reference to the hiring of the assistant superintendent. Where did this $250,000 come from? I know it's not quite $223,000, but as Erin mentioned, boy, you could sure afford teaching staff, aides. Teachers have to pay for items in the classroom. Why not put the money toward that? I hear that constantly. Why do teachers have to put forth their own money for items that they spend in the classroom? And here we are spending $250,000 on more administration. Now, I looked at the duties of the assistant superintendent that you guys are proposing. It's basically the same job that Minerva does. Why do we need 2 people there? It seems ridiculous. That is a lot of money. And taxpayers, well, they're getting fed up with this stuff. The taxes just keep going up and up. You could allocate the money you have for the education of our students, not for more administration. So I totally agree with Erin's position on that. And this board needs to justify its rationale for why we need 2 superintendents. We already pay one in excess of $200,000 a year, and then we have 2 of them there. The taxpayers are getting fed up with this nonsense. Quick note, the individual who prepares the meeting minutes that you're going to be approving here shortly, I looked at my public comment summary from last week. Why can't we have a little more detail with that so when people go back and review the board minutes that there are actually details? You don't have to write everything the public says, but talked about accounting, talked about taxes, whatever, that is insufficient. You do the bare minimum when it comes to preparing the meeting minutes for the public. If you do the bare minimum in the classroom, teacher's not going to give you a good grade. It's about education. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, board correspondence. Any board correspondence? No?
For me.
Okay. Next up is student board correspondence.
Okay, so we have a few things that we've been working on. First of all, I've seen an increase in our SteamCon registrations, so keep those coming. I'm excited for that, really excited to get that up and running and see it actually come to life. Some other things in the high school level. We are going to Barb Times, should be sometime soon, to talk about just general well-being of students and reminding students that vaping is bad, choosing smart choices in the hallways is good, and just getting their feedback about some other very smaller things. Also, this week is Social Emotional Learning Week for the middle school, elementary, and high school. So I've been asked to share a little bit about that. So during this week, we are trying to promote the importance of social emotional learning, and this just generates to overall success within academics, mental health, developing schools, and overall tries to make the school a little bit better of a place. So within the high school, we're trying to do some, the Barbed Wire podcast is trying to make some more episodes for Social Emotional Learning Week. There's also a choice board. Some other classes have been engaging in social emotional learning, activities and stuff. In the middle school, there's a spirit week. There should be positive affirmations. There's also a choice board. And then in elementary school, there's also student leadership activities, and then some calm down corner and self-care stuff. So we are working on, so through MTSS and just the high school in general, as well as the other schools, this is National SEL Week. So, yeah. That should be it for me, but we also had interviews for my position yesterday, so I'm excited to see who that gets to be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right. Next item is consent agenda. Approved consent agenda items. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda items 5B through 5F, board minutes from 2/18/25, personal action items, purchase order requisition, employee contract, elementary principal, and employment contract, elementary principal for Tyler Elementary School as attached. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Roll call?
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Steve Byers,
Yes.
Christopher Boyce,
Yes.
J.C. Ramirez,
Yes.
Dante Bynum,
Yes.
Amanda Harness.
Yes. Thank you. Next item is old business, DCTA LOA elementary and or related services vacancy coverage. This is an action item. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the LOA with DCTA regarding elementary and or related services vacancy coverage. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Steve Byers,
Yes.
Chris Boyce,
Yes.
J.C. Ramirez,
Yes.
Dante Bynum,
Yes.
Amanda Harness,
Yes.
Fred Davis.
Yes.
Thank you. Item B, DCTA LOA certified school nurse CSN subbing in a health office and or one-on-one nursing. This is an action item. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the LOA with DCTA regarding certified school nurse CSN subbing in a health office and or one-on-one nursing. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Chris Boyce,
Yes.
J.C. Ramirez,
Yes.
Dante Bynum,
Yes.
Amanda Harness,
Yes.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Steve Byers.
Yes.
Thank you. Item C, Press Policy 2265, Title IX Grievance Procedures. This is an action item. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve Press Policy 2265 dated October 2022 to be compliant with federal law. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Roll call?
Christopher Boyce,
Yes.
J.C. Ramirez,
Yes.
Dante Bynum,
Yes.
Amanda Harness,
Yes.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Steve Byers.
Yes.
Thank you. Item D, staffing proposal for Metro Elementary School support staff. This is an action item. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the 1.0 these DFSA support staff positions for Mitchell Elementary School. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Roll call?
Casey Ramirez,
Yes.
Dante Bynum,
Yes.
Amanda Harness.
Yes.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Steve Byers,
Yes.
Christopher Boyce.
Yes.
Thank you. Item E, DHS Student Council IASC State Convention overnight trip request. This is an action item. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve this request for the DHS Student Council to attend the overnight IASC State Convention in Lombard, Illinois, May 1st through the 3rd, 2025. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Roll call?
Dante Bynum,
Yes.
Amanda Harness,
Yes.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Steve Byers,
Yes.
Christopher Boyce,
Yes.
Casey Ramirez.
Yes. Thank you. All right, next item is Mitchell Elementary School business, Mitchell Elementary School updates.
Good evening. It's that time of the month where we are going to present all the pictures of updates for the new elementary. I've been excited over the last few weeks. The building's starting to look like a school and less like a construction zone. So hopefully we'll be able to see that in the pictures. So this is the main office. As you can see, casework is already coming in. It's been coming in the classrooms and now the main office area where the office staff will be sitting and greeting our students, staff, and visitors. This is the staff lounge. Flooring isn't in yet, but that'll be coming in next, and the ceiling. Our staff workroom is right next to the staff lounge, right near the gymnasium. And in here, they'll have ample space for any type of projects they need to be working on, copying, etc. The kitchen area is coming together well. The equipment's starting to come in. There will be an office for the cook, as well as a walk-in freezer cooler, a restroom, and also another area for the lockers for our other staff. This is just a few of the classrooms. I just want to show you as the flooring is starting to come in. As you can see, we're color coordinated, as I mentioned before, as to different grade levels. Couple of the toilet rooms across the building. These are the wall that has a lot of color to it are in the wings for second and third and fourth and fifth grade. And then these are the restrooms that have multiple stalls in them. The music room is nearing completion. It is in the old part of the building, so that part of the building is almost near completion. With the ceilings in, the carpet is in, and as well as the casework, whiteboards, and in this room, there are sound panels also, since it is a music room. The art room has a different type of floor than most of the other rooms, and you'll see in the steam room the same thing. It's more of a poured floor that has some flex to it. It's not the typical LVT or carpet that you see throughout the rest of the building. There's sound panels in here because of the open ceiling that we have. And then they have extra sinks also in the art room because of the needs. Just to show you a couple of locker bays, this is the one on, I have to remember, the one on the left, the purple is our fourth and fifth grade locker bays for our fourth and fifth grade wing, and the red is in our second and third grade wings. Steam room, again, different type of flooring in there, and again, open ceiling, so those also have sound panels, as well as you can barely see it, but there's also some unique light fixtures in the rooms that have the open ceiling. So we are on track. As of April 1st, they're going to start turning over rooms to us one by one for cleaning, so our custodial staff will begin working there to clean those rooms. May 1st, we anticipate that the interior of the building will be turned over to us fully. So then by May 5th, we plan to start having furniture delivered and installed. That'll take about 3 weeks to fully get it in place. And then around June 1st, they're anticipating that the exterior will be turned over to us. So that'll include all of the landscaping, and then we'll be ready to put the playground in, because that is technically outside of the construction project, so that'll start then probably in July. We don't want to get it done too early, because we do want it part of the yellow unveiling. But we also have been working with community gardens, and they will also be having a garden out at that property just off of the parking lot on Ridge, and that will be able to be put in place after the exterior is turned over to the district. So, any questions?
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. It looks great. Thank you. All right, so now we're moving on to new business, but before we start with new business, I would like to make a motion to remove item A since the DHS a cappella students did not move forward in the competition. So we no longer need to vote on that item.
So moved. Second.
Roll call?
Amanda Harness.
Yes.
Fred Davis.
Yes.
Steve Byers.
Yes.
Christopher Boyce.
Yes.
J.C. Ramirez.
Yes.
Dante Bynum.
Yes.
Thank you. Item B, DHS Trio Upper Bound Overnight Out-of-State Travel Request. This is an information action item brought to us by Dr. Larson.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for doing that, Daisy. Unfortunately, we didn't make it to the next round, so we had to take that off, so thank you very much. This next informational item is Trio Upward Bound is requesting to take students to a college conference in Miami, Florida. So this is a partnership that we have through Kishwaukee College. They're requesting 8 students to take them and bring them down to a conference down in Miami where there's a lot of different college exposure, leadership opportunities, and for students to, go outside of DeKalb and actually see different places for a college visit. So this is April 3rd through, I think it's listed here.
The 6th.
Yep, 3rd through the 6th, thank you. 3rd through the 6th, only 8 students are going to be going and 2 chaperones. Kishwaukee is covering the entire cost. Any questions?
Any questions?
All right, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is really exciting, so.
And again, due to timing and time sensitivity, it is coming in to us as an information action item. Okay, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve this request for 8 DHS Trio Upper Bound students to attend the First Gen Conference in Miami, Florida from April 3rd through April 6th, 2025. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Fred Davis.
Yes.
Steve Byers.
Yes.
Christopher Boyce.
Yes.
J.C. Ramirez.
Yes.
Dante Bynum.
Yes.
Amanda Harness.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item C, Little Barb Academy proposal. Brought to us by Mr. Kyle Curtis.
And team.
And team.
All right, so good evening. Really excited to be part of a group tonight that's going to talk about kind of a new proposal for the district. Billy Huermo couldn't be here tonight. I know he's regretting that because he's really excited about talking about this opportunity. It has been really hands-on in its development so far. But really what we want to talk to you tonight is about a proposal for what we call Little Barb Academy. I'm joined here by Sarah Schneider, kindergarten teacher at Brooks, Marianne Grutza, did I pronounce that right? Tyler at kindergarten teacher at Tyler, Jane Weiss, kindergarten teacher at Founders, and myself. Sarah.
Sure. So Little Barb Academy would be a really great opportunity for students coming into kindergarten starting this fall. And so the first week of August, it would be that August 4th there, they would come to the school they're going to attend for about 2 hours with a kindergarten teacher. Kind of some of the logistics, are still up in the air about how many classes we're going to need, how many students, and all of that. But the general idea was that they could come into the school, they could have a tour, they could meet one of their potential teachers or more, they could get the school experience, right? They could sit on the carpet and sit in the chairs, they could go to see where they're going to have music, they could experience going down to the lunchroom, going into the gym where they'll have PE, they can go out on the playground, we could let them play on the playground and experience some of that. It'd be a really great opportunity for those students to have that time in the classroom and with their teachers. I think the main focus for these students is really getting them in. If they haven't had a structured preschool experience, then coming into the classroom early and really getting the feel of how it feels to sit on the rug and be asked to raise your hand before you speak, right? And be quiet while the other kids are talking. And, those are the things that we have to teach the first week of kindergarten normally here with sometimes 28 of them and not as much help as we might need. In this situation, we're trying to ask for some social emotional help from maybe a counselor or a social worker. We're asking to have the lit assistants or some other paraprofessionals come in and help us for that. The administrators will already be in the building, so if there are, giant issues that we can't handle, that could be addressed. But we're really just looking for 12 to 15, maybe kids that haven't been in a structured school environment yet, that are about to come to kindergarten, that in the next week and a half or so after this, and they can come in and they can really experience what kindergarten's going to be like. I think it's gonna build leaders in some of the kids that are really getting the hang of it. I think it's going to show those other ones that maybe I gotta get my act together. I've been running around, at the rest of my life for 5 years now. This is gonna be fun. I'm gonna get to learn. I'm gonna get to play with all these other kids, see all these toys that are in the classrooms. They're really gonna get to figure it out. Anybody else want to say anything?
Thank you.
More?
So I'll fill in these parts. This aligns with our district priorities of student achievement and community engagement and marketing. And then the fiscal impact of this, we are right now costing this out to be up to 19 teachers, about 15 hours at the $40 an hour rate, plus some additional staff, plus some lit assistants, as Sarah mentioned. Overall, we're estimating this to be a cost of about $13,080, and it would be paid for out of Title I, II, and Title IV grants.
It's like a mini orientation for them.
Yeah, I think this has catched on a little bit in some districts where they've seen, maybe since COVID, that younger group coming into kindergarten really struggle with that formal exposure. And I know some other districts have started this and they've seen it be effective for their communities, so we're kind of hoping to do the same for ours.
Awesome. Any questions about that? No? Any questions on this side? No? All right, consensus to bring this back?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything that you all are doing. All right, item D, professional development request, impactful leadership. This is an item brought to us by Dr. Zimmerman. Ms. Jo- Oh, Ms. Sarah Montgomery. Okay, I'm just looking at the submitted by.
No, that's
I
okay.
apologize. Okay,
Thank you
Sarah.
so much. I come to you with a proposal to send a team of our leaders to professional development that will be paid for out of Title II, which is earmarked for professional development for district staff. We're excited to find professional development for leadership. That's not always easy to find, that is impactful and meaningful. So this professional development will focus on rigor in the classroom, depth of knowledge, analyzing instructional, coaching teachers, leadership practices, and then implementing evidence-based strategies and the change management flow of work that needs to happen. So we'll align to the work within our strategic plan and also our building school improvement plans. As the staff that would be attending will be directly supporting them as well.
Okay, any questions? All
How
right.
many people would be going to this?
This will be for 3 people.
3 people?
Yep, who's listed on the top.
Oh,
Those, okay.
all right. Any other questions? All right, consensus to bring this back?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Item E, request to bid additional renovations, Founder Jefferson Lincoln. This is an information action. Item brought to us by Ms. Tammy Carson.
Thank you. What I bring forth tonight is a request to bid, and I will say this is one of the latest, if not the latest time I've ever brought a request to bid to the board. Typically, we have all of our bids figured out because the projects have been determined well before this, usually by the end of the previous summer. Due to some changes that are going on with the programs that are moving around the district that have been finalized in regards to our special programs, we have identified some areas that we need to look to do some improvements. Bless you. And try to get that done over the summer. The timeline is still very tight, so that is why is coming information and action tonight. because if it is approved to move forward with bidding the projects, we would be looking to go out to bid on April 15th. They would be due in May, and then I'd bring it back on May 20th to the board meeting if all goes well for your consideration for final approval. As you know, that's a week before summer actually starts. And to award contract and get the materials in that amount of time is still gonna be tough. I'm still not 100% sure we can do that, but until we award contract and know what the timelines are, we kind of are at the mercy of that plan. So what I'm bringing forth tonight is request to bid additional renovations at Founders Elementary, Jefferson, and Lincoln. Founders includes the fact that we're adding an additional Soul classroom to that building. That'll be a second Soul classroom that'll be added to the lower level. And currently they just have 2 multi-stall bathrooms in that area in the lower level. We're looking to add 2 single-stall bathrooms. One would open up directly into a Soul classroom. The other would open into the hallway, so that could be utilized also by the Soul bathrooms. Fortunately, we have a classroom that backs up to the larger bathroom, so the plumbing is there to help reduce costs. That would be the base bid, and then the alternate bids we would put in place. The next one would be at Jefferson. We are moving the developmental communication class from Brooks to Jefferson, and in that it's going into the old kindergarten class, and the bathroom in there needs renovations to be able to support that program. And the recommendation also includes adding a sensory room to that space. That kinder room is a supersized classroom, so fortunately there's enough space to accommodate both of those. And then the other alternate is a Lincoln bathroom, the kinder bathroom at Lincoln. We acknowledge now that it really is also in need of renovations. It should have probably been included, honestly, in the toilet room project that's already there. So that's why we're listing as an alternate, so we'll have the opportunity when the bids come in to make a decision at that time, should we want to move forward or not with that portion of the bid. So tonight I'm asking for approval to move forward with the request to bid, and then it'll come forward to you for a final approval once the bids are received, and at that time is when the funding's actually expended.
Any questions about that?
So the only part that I guess I would have a question on would be on Founders. And this is obviously very many big moving pieces, but one of our very big umbrella plans is, reorganizing buildings potentially by different grade levels. And I guess my concern is spending $125,000 at this building for what are now elementary buildings, and then we might have plans to make it, a 5-6 building or a 7-8 building one day, I guess brings me concern, because then now we're gonna have to go re-spend all of that money to undo it, to retrofit it again for the proper age group that will be in there. So I guess, is it potential that we can look at holding off on Founders until, I guess, we as a district figure out what we're gonna do with Founders?
I will say, almost every project I'm looking at now, because of that potential changes, I look at through that lens. This project, it can be retrofitted fairly easily, should we consider that being larger students and older students in that space. It would be more of just literally swapping out the height of the toilet potentially, and otherwise it will be ADA bathrooms.
Okay.
I would anticipate, no matter what grade level, there's probably a strong possibility there would be a special program in there, which could potentially use the space that has the restroom connected to it. And then the other one opens to the hallway, so it has a lot of potential, not just for student use, but could be a staff bathroom, because there are no staff bathrooms designated in the lower level either.
Okay, so these changes would still be able to be utilized regardless of which direction we decide to pivot.
Absolutely. Minor changes should that time come, but I don't anticipate anything significant.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? No? No? All right, so again, this is, you're looking for information and action just for bidding purposes at this moment. So it is recommended that the Board of Education approve administration to go out for bid for renovations at Founders, Jefferson, and Lincoln. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Steve Byers.
Yes.
Christopher Boyce.
Yes.
Stacy Ramirez.
Yes.
Dante Bynum.
Yes.
Amanda Harness.
Yes.
Fred Davis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Item F, 2025-2026 FTE request. This is an information item brought to us by Ms. Beatrice Salas and team.
Good evening, everyone. So annually, this time of year, we come forward with FTE requests for the upcoming school year. This year, we have 11.5 FTE that we are bringing forward. There were more that came to us as a cabinet leadership. We sat down, we met, we reviewed, looked at how it relates to the SIP plan of the school, how it relates to the strategic plan, and the overall student achievement needs of our district. So we selected the positions that we see can move student achievement and or move our district in the direction to achieve some of the goals that we're working towards. So this evening, my colleagues will be coming forward and talking about the positions that fall under their umbrella. In the absence of Billy for elementary, Sarah will be covering that. Kyle is here for student services. We have one position that's district-wide and falls under DFSS. Excuse me, that Tammy will be presenting, and then Amir can answer any questions that you have about dollars. And I'm here to answer questions as well.
The position that we're recommending is a warehouse specialist position, which would be a union position within the DFSS. As you may know, we have had a storage facility of some sort, started out at Cheeseboro, then moved to Oak Street since 2011. And since that time, I'll be honest, it's been pretty randomly managed. It's just kind of always when somebody has time to get over there and try to get rid of the stuff that should have gotten rid of, and it's not been managed in the way it should. We also have had a significant increase since we've been able to warehouse items. When we purchase items for replacement, but we remove items from the building that could potentially still be utilized temporarily or permanently in buildings, we house those at the warehouse. And that requires moving back and forth. And about 2 years ago, we started tracking how many moves we do, how many requests for moves we get. Those are handled primarily by the grounds crew, sometimes by our food truck drivers when they're driving food. But again, it's kind of like, okay, who's available to take care of it? And we have been averaging approximately 40 work orders a month strictly for moving of items. So we're recommending that we hire an individual that can manage and organize the warehouse, can repair equipment as it comes in, and can also manage any deliveries that need to be done throughout the district. In addition, one thing that we've been discussing with Opening Mitchell is the need to asset tag our assets of the district, to tag our assets of the district for management of that. Technology does that already, but when it comes to furniture and equipment in the district, that is not done. And with Mitchell opening, we thought this would be a great opportunity. We have a new building of furniture coming in. We could start there, asset tagging that. And then this individual would manage that in an attempt to get the rest of the district asset tagged as furniture is moving in and out, or taking it a building at a time and then managing it as the materials and furniture move around the district. So there's a lot of things that can be done by this. In addition, since we've opened Menta over at Cheeseboro and BOBTC on Charter Street, we don't have a designated head custodian at those buildings because we don't need somebody there full-time. They don't need somebody sitting in those buildings all day. We don't manage the needs of the Menta staff and students. We strictly just clean the building at night and then deal with the building structure and inspections and those type of things. And so this position would also be designated as the head custodian, handling the head custodial duties at those two locations. That's primarily inspections that need to be done, making sure we're getting it cleaned to the level we should be getting it cleaned at all times, as well as managing snow removal should that be needed. So it kind of can serve as double duty in that. Any questions on that position?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good evening. I'm going to talk about two positions. There's actually 3 line items on the document in front of you. The first one is a social work position. The request is for a 1.0 FTE that would be split between 2 schools, or that an FTE would be allocated to two schools, Cortland Elementary and Huntley Middle School. So you'll see on the document, it's an increase of a 0.5 FTE for each of those buildings. At Huntley Middle School, that would bring their total social work allocation from what is currently like a 2.5 allocation, which was increased from 2.0 last year for this year, to a 3.0. So they would have 3 full-time social workers to cover their 3 grade levels. Cortland Elementary School, and sorry, so that, in working with the Huntley administration on that, when we sat down and we looked at what they need in terms of resources to be able to meet their special education needs, as it relates to social work, but then also the other things that social workers can do outside of special education, it really came down to a need based on special education requirements. Cortland has a special ed requirement need, but they also have been doing a lot of work through their building SIP plan to address their summative designations, and they've done some really great work there. They would like to increase their allocation by 0.5 social work, so they can do a lot more when it comes to overall MTSSB implementation, but really looking at student engagement, student attendance, and truancy, in addition to special education caseload as well. The other position that is on here is an elementary position. We've kind of been alluding to this throughout the evening tonight. It's an increase of 1.0 special education teacher, a sole teacher for Founders Elementary School. This is required due to the number of students that we already currently have eligible at the elementary level, but primarily the number of students that are coming out of our early learning and development center that we know will need this type of programming. And so in order to be able to stay in compliance with law, we have to add another section. Any questions about those positions?
Any questions? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. I'll speak to the academic positions. The first one I'll talk about is the Malta math interventionist. Malta currently is a targeted school, as you're aware, with performance data indicating that they're also close to being comprehensive within some of the specific subgroups. The school improvement plan definitely supports the introduction of a math interventionist at Malta. And the percentage of students that are scoring at or above the national 50th percentile will be the target of the work for this position. And it will focus on interventions specifically at the tier 2 and tier 3 levels. And then they'll progress monitor based off of that and able to flow students between those tiered supports to raise and increase academic achievement and growth. Any questions on Malta?
Real quick, so with boundary change, is this still applying?
Yes.
Like we factored in students that will be moving, this role would still be needed there, even though we may not have some of these students at that school anymore?
Yes,
So-
absolutely. With all of the elementary schools, we did look at the data
Okay.
and the student movements.
Perfect.
Now, I guess kind of not going along that line, but just asking, do we currently have a math and reading interventionist for every building or not?
No, as Dietrich talked in the beginning, we looked at the prioritized designations, the enrollment trends, and looking at some of the buildings that will have different shifts of those enrollments that Amanda just talked about. And then also the data trends within the buildings. So not all of them have them. And that's something that we'll continue to look at, but in an effort of being fiscally conservative and strategic with what we're doing, starting here.
And I think as we all know, I'm about being fiscally conservative, but I guess it's also very important to me that we aren't telling our students the neighborhood you live in determines
Absolutely.
the support we as a district are gonna give you.
Absolutely, and that is not any of the intention of the work that we're doing. First and foremost, those were also the trends that we were looking at. Thank you. The next one I'll speak to is the Brooks Math Assistant, and with that also the Founders Assistant, because they're similar, different but similar. So, Chris, you had talked about the reading assistants. This is similar, but it's a math assistant. So this person will specifically work with the math interventionists that are teachers in how they can appropriately support students. So again, looking at that data in proficiency within the IAR, triangulating that with MAP, and then using these assistants to support small group instruction. Any questions about those? The Founders one is bilingual, again, using the data trends and what the needs are there, that will help support our students. Okay. Then I will speak to the music at Malta. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Vanna. Malta effectively utilizes 0.74 FTE for music instruction and 0.24, I know some crazy math here, right? 0.24 FTE being pulled from another building. So if you're not aware, Malta currently shares 2 staff members, Lincoln and Jefferson. This will bring it down to 1 share. And this increase of time will not only support the students with the small group instruction in the math and literacy within that 0.24 that was being pulled from Jefferson, it also utilizes time better because now you don't have a traveling teacher as well. Any questions about elementary? Otherwise, I will transition to secondary. Kyle, is it okay if I jump over you, come back to you? Okay. Being my own Vanna here, thank you, is the high school is requesting 2 ESL teachers. The 2 ESL teachers are going to support our increased enrollment at the high school. We have seen an increased enrollment just during the school year, but then also looking at our projections from our 8th grade to our 9th grade, we know that we have 76 incoming freshmen that have all recommended placement for the Humanities 1 and the Introduction to Chemistry and Physics, which is ICP. Classes next year. This situation puts us at risk for being out of compliance with state guidelines to support our L students. This will also give us a little bit of buffer to make sure that if we do have some move-ins at the beginning of the year, then we're not scrambling. But we are already needing more than 1.5. So instead of asking for 1.5, when we know the projections are going to be right on that cusp, thus why we're asking for 2. The next one I have is TBE Social Studies, again, at the high school. That is a 1.0 FTE request. And this will help support our Spanish-speaking newcomers in social studies, so expanding our programming that will help. This will also align looking at the future projections when we roll up our 2-way dual language. This will also provide opportunity as well there in growth and not surplus in addition. And then the last one that, nope, not quite, almost, last one I have for the high school is a CTE teacher at the high school that will focus on food, clothing, and textiles with adult living. We've currently been utilizing overloads to support this need. The trend has continued, so we do need an FTE 1.0 to support that classroom, those classrooms, I should say. And last but not least, what I have is one that's been tabled. This will be the 3rd year, so you have not seen this one in prior years, aside from our original realignment with teaching and learning. So that would have been 4 years ago, I believe. This one got tabled because of other needs in the district. So I am bringing this back, and the multilingual instructional coach will really support along with teachers, instructional strategies to support our L's and our multilingual learners. It will also focus on coaching models, professional development across content areas. It is not one specific content area. And it will support our 2-way dual language rollout. That's all I have. Any questions on those? Then I'll turn it over to Kyle.
Would the instructional coach be able to help with translation as well? Or does Google Translate all we have?
No, we do not have just Google Translate. We do have HSLs in the buildings that help. We do have telephone services that are quite helpful. I've used them myself to call home some of our families. So we have a variety of different, they typically are not our number 1 to go to because there are other job duties within the district that cover that. Good question. Kyle said he's good.
So if there are questions specific to finances, Amir can speak to that, or one of us, depending on what the question is, or if there are any other questions, we're happy to answer as well.
Any questions?
Not necessarily a question, but I think the idea of somebody who's gonna help maintain our furniture would be good. I know the furniture I had when I started 10 years ago is still in the classroom. It was kind of falling apart then.
Tammy had, when we discussed this, she talked about we may have a chair that lost a wheel. So that chair gets put somewhere, but there's not a person dedicated or available to get that wheel replaced. So then we turn around and we buy a new chair, and we still have the chair missing one wheel sitting there. So we've spent more money in replacing something when we could have saved money by repairing it. So we anticipate that position providing a cost savings to us.
Amir, where does that leave the fund balance? If this was all approved, factoring in Mitchell and everything that we have going on for the fall?
Correct. So this organic growth that we call with the new FTE, we've had it every year. This is actually one of the kind of the lower end of requests. We normally have had much higher, but this is as part of the projections we have done and shared it with the FFC. It is part of the projection, and it is estimated to be in the fund balance. Our fund balance will still be the healthy above the 20 to 30% board policy. But again, we always project to have a kind of an organic growth for the new FTEs.
Any other questions? All right, consensus to bring this back?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. All right, and then the next item is item G, staffing request, Associate Superintendent.
So before us is a request for an additional FTE, and it's for the position of Associate Superintendent. This is a position that would report directly to the superintendent, who would be there to support the role of superintendent, as well as support ongoing succession planning and transition as the district moves and grows and does or enhances our initiatives in supporting our strategic plan. This was a position that was brought forward to administration and requested on behalf of the board. So anything I can answer, I'm happy to. The draft job description is attached there as well, and the projected cost.
I guess my biggest concern looking at this is this position, which again, I'm not even sure why we're talking about this. And I'd like to hear other people's thoughts on it, because I know it was brought by some board members. It's responsible, or saying the objective is being responsible for some of the most important departments in the district. So I guess we're paying heads of departments, we've got our directors in our cabinet, and then we're putting another layer, which is a very large salary. What is the superintendent gonna be doing? So that's my concern, is why are we even talking about this without the superintendent here to answer questions?
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, we can continue this discussion at the next meeting, but I really feel like when we have someone running this district that was brought into this district, the contract was just renewed, now we're asking for a position that, I mean, me as someone on this board looking, teaching and learning, one of the most important, student and family services, one of the most important, improvement and innovation, I don't even know if we've talked about that. Transportation, I feel like that's just being passed along to this new person. Food service, I mean, very important departments. I'd like to understand how this is gonna be divvied up, how things are gonna be handled, or are we just putting another $200,000 position as a buffer when we just renewed a contract?
so I guess I will speak to the position itself, not the exact job description, because obviously that is not something that I drew up and, but the reason that I asked Dr. Garcia Sanchez to look into the associate superintendent role is I do feel that we gave her a very strong mandate that we wanted a line of succession set up. And I truly believe that with a lot of the things that we have coming up as a board, and not just our board, but the new board, we're gonna be moving right into a new year where we're gonna have contract negotiations right up again. I think it's very important that we have a clearly defined line of succession across the district so that we have things ready to move into place if things need to be done. And that's the reason that I'm in full support of this position. I also feel that, it adds the additional benefit of, let's be realistic, you're right. Some of the most important departments are under there. And we can fully all on this board say right now, there are things that have fallen through the cracks within this last year in a lot of those departments. So for us to make sure that we have another individual who is going to be on that and making sure that it gets done, to me is important. So I'm unequivocally in support of the position.
No, and I understand that, and if you're saying things were falling through the cracks, then I think we need to reevaluate
Staffing.
staffing and hold people accountable, and all the way up to the superintendent. Adding another layer, you can have a succession plan without creating a head count that is a quite large. I mean, looking at the list that we just went through of all of the requested positions, we could add a whole bunch more positions that are directly engaging with the students on a daily basis. And for $200,000 when we look at some of those salaries. I guess my biggest thing is you can still have a succession plan, you can still have people involved that have the qualifications to move up. If, Chris, you weren't here when they hired Minerva, I wasn't here when they selected her, but when she started, I was here, as was Daisy and Ari. She had never been a superintendent before. So someone can come into a district and lead and do a good job. Now, my idea is I would love to have someone, if she chooses not to stay or the new board doesn't renew her contract, however that happens when it's up for renewal, I'd love to see someone grow within this organization and this district. And we have people that have the right qualifications, because it does require qualifications to be at that level. But that doesn't mean we create a position, spend $200 and something thousand. Remember, taxpayers' money, a lot of it's taxpayers' money, to have something that we have a superintendent that we're paying that has to be responsible for. She is working on succession. She is working on that, because those people probably have goals too in their goals to be in that succession. So to create a position seems foolish and very wasteful spending, and that's my opinion. And then I guess, I don't know who can answer this. How many districts of this size have an assistant superintendent?
A lot.
But how many?
I don't know, I didn't count or I left, but it's not, it's pretty normal to have. We
Has
have
this
before.
district ever had one?
Yes.
When?
I was
How
on
long
it
ago?
before. Yeah, Andrew Gore, our finance director,
Okay.
she was an assistant superintendent.
Okay, and how long was that position, was that one of the positions cut when they did that big?
No,
So it wasn't, so when did they
Not
stop
when I
having
was on the
assistant
board.
superintendents?
So districts, it varies district to district. So you will go to some districts and they call them assistant superintendents, or you may hear directors like we are, you may hear executive director, you may hear chief. So those are some of the more common naming conventionalities of positions. This is an associate superintendent, which kind of falls between the superintendent and that assistant superintendent level for reporting purposes. It varies district to district. Districts change their structure, they add to, they take away, depending on what structure they have. I can definitely do some homework and come back and bring you that information, but it depends on the organization and their chosen structure.
So is the idea to open this up, or is this just an internal promotion? Would this be open to the public to apply? Or would this just be someone internal being moved into the role?
That's a conversation between the board and I would say Minerva, since the position reports to her, what the pleasure is of both the board and the current sitting superintendent.
So I would like to ask if we could continue this discussion in 2 weeks when Minerva's here to
I agree.
answer some of these questions. Because
that's
I think,
appropriate.
yeah, just because I think if we're asking for such a role and she's not even here to answer some of these questions, this definitely couldn't be brought back for action the next time. I'd like to just extend it to another information. Also, that allows the community to hear some of the questions that were just proposed. And then others to also, if anyone from the community has any insight that wanna come back and share it too. I mean, this is a lot of money and a big change for the district, so those are some really important questions, because if we were just moving, if someone who's qualified within the district was being elevated to that role, then the salary would be a different conversation, because would it only be a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 shift in additional, or are we saying, and then looking at wherever that individual was, could we absorb some of those responsibilities? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be logical with the money, and that's all I'm trying to say. And without knowing those types of things, it's really hard to continue having a conversation about it.
Well, and on top of that, I think if you are talking about, you know, promoting somebody or helping somebody inside, I don't know what the right word would be, but make like a mentoring type promotion instead of the big title, because the big titles cost big money. We all know that. I wouldn't be opposed to having that, but I think it needs to be a lot more clear than what it is right now.
Well, and my biggest concern is you have some of the most important departments being listed. And so is that saying that they're 100% responsible, or their main focus is that? And then, you know, that's where there's a lot of open questions that aren't unable to be answered by Deetra, so.
Well, that's a lot of questions, because in some of them departments, if there's fault in there, why is there fault? Now we gotta go through that. Do we have enough people in that department that can help run that department? Do we not? Those type of things, you know? Why did that happen? Well, we know accidents happen all the time. But still, if we don't have enough people to help that, and that's, you know, something we gotta think about.
And that's fair.
I would be up for a lot more discussion.
So, 'cause I'm not sure of the exact way, would we motion to table this until the next board meeting?
I believe so, yeah. And again, just when Chris brought it to my attention, I mean, I said that I would be open to having that discussion when he first presented it obviously to superintendent. So that is the reason why it's here for conversation, so we can always table it to continue the conversation, so.
That would be great.
So I motion that we table the associate superintendent until the next board meeting.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
Second, yeah.
Roll call?
Chris Boyce,
Yes.
Stacy Ramirez,
Yes.
Ante Bynum,
Yes.
Amanda Harness,
Yes.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Steve Byers.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and then superintendent report. Deidre, did she leave anything behind?
I do have one
Okay.
thing that I realized I
Okay.
did not talk about during the consent agenda. I don't know if she's here. Elizabeth, are you here? Would you like to introduce yourself? She's the new principal that we were just accepting for Founders, correct?
For board approval, but
Yes.
yes. Hi. My name is,
Come over to the mic.
I didn't prepare like any kind of formal speech. Hi, everybody. This has been a really riveting board meeting, so I'm really glad I got to come. My name is Elizabeth Ricciardi. I am actually from Lily Lake, but I grew up and did a lot of things in DeKalb my entire childhood. Went to NIU, spent lots of years post-NIU here. I always told pretty much everybody that I've ever worked for that if I had the opportunity to come back and serve in the DeKalb School District that I was going to. So here I am. I put that into the atmosphere, and I'm excited to join everybody on the team. And I think I saw there was a kindergarten teacher. Super excited. Love kindergarten, my favorite.
We're excited to have you here. Thank you. All right. And with that, it is now 7:58, and with that, it is recommended that the Board of Education will adjourn. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Be safe.